Today I'm going to show you how I clean and keep my fish tanks. So for cleaning, I prepare two 5-gallon buckets with water. I usually leave them sit for 2 days so that they are chlorinated, and then I will um, pull 5 gallons from the tank with a gravel filter, and you pull the gravel from tank into a empty 5-gallon bucket, and then you clean the glass of any algae that you don't want. Pour 5 gallons in, and you're done. So here's that process. Fish tank that I'm currently cleaning is a 55-gallon tank. It is home to my electric blue Caras, an albino bristlenose pleco, and a regular bristlenose pleco. I usually clean it 1 to 2 times per week, just a 5-gallon water change. And when I do clean it, most of the time I don't need to take algae off of it because I'm in the basement. But especially if you have pleco, it's not good to take all of the algae off, and so that the pleco has something good to eat. I have around 12 Acara in my tank. It is not completely full. I can still have other fish. I'm looking into getting some nice colorful fish for this tank that are peaceful, because electric blue Acara are very peaceful fish. I keep my water temperature around 76 degrees and my pH at from 6.5 to 7.5. I have a Fluval 407 canister filter on this tank. I like to overfilter my tanks, make sure they're extra clean, and I have some pretty bad plants in this tank because I cooked them to get all the algae and stuff off. It did not work. Do not cook your plants. They will lose the rocks that are attached to them. It's better to just let them dry or bleach them. It's a good tip for you. Okay. The rocks in my tank are rocks we actually got from the beach. We went and got them at a beach. Oh, yeah. So once your 5-gallon bucket's about 95% full, you want to go ahead and you want to pull out the thing. What? Myself. Go away. I'll make you go away.
Mom's calling you.
Why?
Because she wants to know who you're talking to.
Nobody.
Then who are you talking to?
Nobody.
Then what are you doing?
Go away. Sometimes people are very annoying and interruptive. There's a very fine example of that. It's a good idea to have a towel on the ground so that if you do spill some water, it's a lot easier to clean up after you're done. So this tank is my 75-gallon and is a lot easier to clean because I don't have gravel in it. I actually just didn't put gravel in it, and all you have to do instead of going around everything and being very thorough, you just have to find the groups of where the dirt is, and then suck it up. This one's also a little bit harder because all of the um, good bacteria and microorganisms that would be in the gravel aren't there, so I have to clean it a little bit more frequently because the microorganisms and stuff in the gravel help um, decompose everything that would be bad. I'm running a filter on top of my tank. I forget what that's called. And I'm also running a pond filter in this tank. Both of those are fairly decent at getting rid of the things. I do water changes about 4 times a week for this tank. I don't have a lot of fish in this tank either. I have a zebra, a red zebra, I don't know, and I have a couple of um, bumblebee cichlids. These are all African cichlids. My 55 gallon actually is a. They're all South American cichlids. Water changes are fairly simple, not extremely hard. They're just time consuming, so yeah. So that's how you do water changes. Um, Oftentimes when you do water changes is also a good time to change your filter. So I will show you how I change my filter also. So when you change your filter, you just want to take the top off, set it aside, get a container that would be able to hold the other filter because it's going to be wet and dirty. Go ahead and pull the whole thing out, let it drip into the filter, and then put it in there. So it's a good idea to clean the blue thing that holds the filter pad. Most of the time, it doesn't seem that bad right now, so you just go ahead and you put the blue filter pad back in. It says front, you put that to the front. You go ahead and take your filter pad where it says front, you put that, slip that in there, and you're good to go for another week or two. This is a 50-gallon filter, the top filter, and the other filter is for around a 75-gallon small pond. Whenever you're doing a water change, make sure to keep an eye on your water because oftentimes you'll have an overflow if you do not, and that's very not good. It's not good at all. The thing I use to clean the algae is it's a algae cleaner that's just a magnet attached to the pads that get rid of algae. I don't know. For algae cleaning, you just run the thing across the edge. Oftentimes, people will also have things that look like sponges on a stick. It's basically the same thing, except for you're kind of in the tank more. Those are also good for cleaning the floor of your tank if you have a gravelless tank. So when you're done with your water change, you just go ahead and take the tube out, making sure not to spill it all over the place. Set that to the side. You get rid of your dirty water. And then once you've gotten rid of your dirty water, I'm going to dump those out later. Actually, the fish water is a very good um, watering for plants, like if you have outside plants, because it helps them grow and flourish. Okay, so after you did that, and you clean your tank with your algae cleaner, and you've replaced your fish pads, you're going to want to make sure your pH is good. So to test your pH, you're going to want to get a pH testing kit like this. They're not that expensive, and you can get them on Amazon. Universal test strips are one. That's what I use, and they're pretty good. So you just stick your strip in there for a good 10 seconds, and get sure to wave it around a little bit. And then once you see the color change, you're gonna want to put it on this on the top of your thing. And mine's around a 6.5 to 7, which is exactly what I want. And then you're gonna want to go ahead and test your other tank. If you have multiple tanks, that is. So this tank usually is pretty good. I've had it on the low side a couple months ago, but it's doing really good right now. So it should be exactly what I want. Making sure to wave the stick around a little bit, keeping the colors underwater. And once you see it change, you know what, around 5 seconds, and then go ahead and test it. Another around 6 to 7, which is exactly what I want. That's how you clean your tank. Okay. After you have taken your dirty water out, test your pH, make sure it's good, and clean the glass for algae, you're going to want to put more water back in. You want to make sure it looks good and that the fish have the maximum amount they can go up. So to put water back in is pretty simple. You just take a 5-gallon bucket and you dump water in, making sure not to pour it too hard because then the gravel will go everywhere. And a lot of times when you dump your water in, you will see that there is more dirt coming up, and that's fine. You can always just go ahead and do another pulling water out and just suck that stuff up, or you can use a fish net and grab it. Okay, now I will put the water back in. There's one tank. Also, often it's a good idea to remove your light, because if you don't, you could get a large. So there's one tank, and when you're pouring water in, it's a good idea to remove the light so you don't get water inside of the light when you're pouring it in, because a lot of times it's kind of hard to control the amount of water that goes in the flow. Whenever you're done pouring your water in, it's always a good idea to fill the buckets back up so you have water again for your next water change. That's basically it. Once you're done, you can put your plants back if any of them got disturbed. You can scoop out any dirt that was left, and you can make sure everything's perfect, and then you're good. I'll see you next time.